playtesting mobile games. And I don't know how many of you are doing something with mobile games, but most of these things and learnings can be also applied outside the mobile gaming scene. But the stuff that I've been working on is playtesting mobile games, and I'm a game researcher and designer at Nokia Research Center. So Nokia Research Center is Nokia's research unit where we look at the technologies, concepts, things that people, trends, things that people might be interested in 5 to 15 years of time. And this playtesting research that we have done is more in this 5 to 3 years range from now. So this is something that is already happening. Like we have been playtesting mobile games at Nokia Research Center for 3 years now, and these practices are being transferred to the Nokia's games publishing team. And the work that I'm presenting is based on very close collaboration between the Engage team and Nokia Research Center. All right. So then, topics of this presentation. First, I will just cover a little bit what is playtesting, so we know that we are talking about the same thing. And after that, we will look different kinds of testing that we are doing in the process, and then what are our experiences. And lastly, if you get really interested, I will show some practical help for actually making this happen. So what is playtesting? Playtesting is about finding out how the user experience is like in the game. So we are providing gameplay and usability related feedback on the game features, and the target group for this feedback is the producer of the game and the development team in general. The marketing is also usually very interested in the results. And what is it not then? Well, like we are not hunting software bugs. Of course, if we can find something, we definitely report it, but when we get a version of a game, we hope like it's not crashing all the time, and like the players can play it without being too disturbed with the technical problems. But of course, we report if we can find something. We are not trying to find missing features that have been promised to be there, or definitely not. We are trying to tell the game designer how to design the game. We can provide some suggestions how to maybe fix a problem, but it's not our job to do that. It's a game designer who always has the vision of the game, how it should actually work. And that is one reason why it's really important to have the game designer and the producer very involved in the process already in the beginning. Then, how do we do playtesting? First of all, with whom we test the games. There are 3 different groups that we typically use, and the first one is experts. And the experts are typically, like, they could be other producers who are not doing this particular project, or they could be game researchers, or people who understand about game design. And the really good thing about these people is that they know their stuff. We can also involve people with different expertises, like people who understand really well usability, user interaction, or then game design people. And also we can show quite incomplete work for them, because they can usually, if they have read the game design document, they can usually figure out, okay, this should actually work like this, but it's not implemented yet. So they can survive this little bit of completeness in the game. But the bad thing is that they typically do not represent the target group of the game. So usually they are experts, they are experienced players, or if we have a usability expert, maybe he or she doesn't play games at all. So that really needs to be taken into account. Then internal test users. This is something like, as I work in Nokia, it's really easy to find people who are interested in games and who like you offer them a movie ticket and then they are like, yes, I can come to try out your game, and you take them into the laboratory. But then quite often still, like they don't match usually the target group so well. But then on the other hand, sometimes it's really interesting if the game that you are testing, if it's a casual game, like how a 50-year-old female who has never played games would actually play your game. So that can be also interesting, but can be also a waste of time sometimes. And then external test players, that's our gold mine. And this is usually where we can really select the players, like try to find out players who the marketing team thinks like, okay, these are the players who should be playing your game, and the game's targeted to these people. And there we can really choose right kinds of players. We have a list of people who come to these test sessions quite often, and then we already know some people who might be just perfect for certain kind of game. But the bad thing about these people is that recruiting them takes time. They need to be rewarded. We need to give more of these tickets out to the people, and also sometimes confidentially can be an issue. But most of the time, like, we can sign an NDA, so non-disclosure agreement, and usually it's not a problem. How do we do playtesting then? What kinds of playtesting we do? Here is the list of the 4 main types that we've been doing at NRC, and I will explain these all a little bit more in detail in the next few slides. I must mention that there are also other kinds of testing activities that are going on and in planning, but this is like the core package that I've been working with. So expert evaluations, here you can see a serious looking Nokia game researcher playing a mobile game and giving very rough feedback for the development team. So what do? We usually have something between 1 to 4 experts playing the game and just simply giving feedback. Also what we can do is we can use heuristics to support the evaluation, but with the experts, usually the experts have these sort of heuristics in the back of their heads, but the heuristics can be also used. And we have in Forum Nokia, we have published a list of gameplay heuristics, so if you are interested, you can go to forum.nokia.com and use the search feature for game heuristics, and you can find the list there. It's available for everyone. And when to do it? Well, at any phase of the game, but I would say that this is quite good in the very early phase of the project, because you can show quite incomplete stuff for these experts, and they will figure out if there is something missing, and they are not taking it too seriously. So also, as I said, these experts, like, they are not necessarily the target group of your game. So and they are, on the other hand, this is like a really cheap method. You can just give the game out, and you don't spend like hours in the laboratory observing people and analyzing their comments. So so I'd say this should be also done very early to get the like children's diseases out of the game before using your most valuable resource, which is the which is the real target group of the game. And what is needed? Well, anything game related, like sometimes this could be even the game design document, but usually it's some simple demonstration that will show how the game actually works. And the collaboration with the producer is really important at this point as well. So we are really looking at something that is important for them. And also these expert evaluations, they are a little bit more hard to sort of sell to people because they are based on opinions of other people who might give, like you need to really have some sort of trust relationship to be able to communicate this feedback in a nice way. And the end result of this is a test report or maybe just an informal conversation about the game, what is good there and what are the possible concerns. I'll show you an example. This is a prototype of one of the games that we tested, and it's actually not even working on the mobile phone yet. So it's a simple animated GIF. Actually, the prototype, there was also interaction, so you could actually play the game as well. And it only demonstrated how to move in the game world. And we actually did get some quite good feedback with this one. And the game was changed based on the feedback, and the developer was really happy about the conversation as well. Okay, just to summarize this. So good things can be done easy, it's fast and cheap. Doesn't really take that much time to take. Well, on the other hand, you could think sometimes when you do expert evaluations, people could actually play through the whole game. Then it's not that fast, like if there is 14, 15 hours of gameplay. But however, compared to doing it with real users, it is fast. And it is very efficient for finding out obvious problems in the game. For this one, I've heard sometimes some criticism as well, like, isn't it the producer's job actually to find out these obvious problems? But then, on the other hand, when you work on something for months and months, you actually do become really blind. Like, what is easy for you is not necessarily easy for someone who has a pair of fresh eyes. So even something like that can be valuable. And that's why having other producers, testing other producers' stuff in this expert evaluation sort of way can be really useful. Okay, then the downsides, the effectiveness of this method really depends on the skill of the evaluators. And also they are not the really real target group of the game. Usually they are really hardcore gamers. If you are playtesting something that is very casual, then it's not the target group. Okay, then direct observation. So when I talk about direct observation, I mean this kind of usability laboratory sort of way of testing. So some people are playing, the test players are playing the game, someone's observing them, not helping them out how to play the game, but just seeing what they are doing there, and then there are other people videotaping everything and seeing. So here, for instance, in the picture you see a typical view what the observers would see from the video camera without the blurring though. So you would really see what keys they are pressing, what is happening in the game. And this typically, when we've been doing this happens before the alpha phase, so or right after the alpha phase. So when all the are in place, but the content is not necessarily there yet. And what is needed? A working version of the game, and again, information from the producer, where to focus on. And actually here, I must say, like, it's really good if the producer, marketing, everyone who needs to get the information, if they can actually come there and sit in the next room, send in comments for the person who is moderating. Could you please tell the player to actually go to this room because he wants to see what will happen if he encounters this monster in the next room, or ask questions like, could you ask the players why he actually did this, because he wants more information. So that is really good. And also when considering the reporting, if you conduct this sort of test and then you send a test report to the producer, it's not as efficient as you would have been there yourself, and you would see like, okay, this is what actually happens when the players play my game, and you could already there make your own notes and understand it probably 10 times better than someone who is just testing the game. And the end result is again a test report, but as I said, this sort of interactive way of doing it inside the whole team is a lot better way than just sending reports back and forth. Okay, so the good thing about direct observation is that you can really see what happens. You can always ask them when you find something that is not making sense or you don't understand what is going on. And the downsides are that it's really resource intensive. So for recruiting players, you might already use 1 day of work for one person. Then running tests, well, like I've been running 6 test sessions in 1 day, but I can say it's pretty crazy. so like if I would do this in a nice way, maybe reserve 3 days for testing with, let's say, 8 players, and then spend 1 week for reporting. But because the development process is quite quick, you need to provide feedback really quickly, and sometimes you just don't have the time. Then you end up doing these crazy days for 1 day of testing and then a couple of days of analyzing and spending a lot of time, and late evenings. But yeah, it takes time. And then, well, like this time frame that I just described, it's usually good enough for development. But then, as I'm a researcher as well, usually the researchers would like to do even better analysis and really like in detail see what happens, and so it would take even more time. But we have found this kind of timetable effective enough, and also the amount of players. Someone could say like 6 to 8 players is quite little, like it is. But on the other hand, if you are observing the players and interacting with them, you can get good enough feedback from there, especially if the target group is really well selected. You don't have these 50-year-old females there who have never seen a game, so then it could be enough. Okay, next I have some video examples, and the first one is from an office room. So it's sort of like a quick and dirty way of arranging a testing laboratory. So you have a camera in the other room, and then the observers in the other room. And actually, in this video, we had 3 people. We had the moderator, and I was observing, and then we have tendency of starting to explain how you should be playing the game and what should be actually done. So that's a situation to avoid, but we've been doing that sometimes as well. And then the next two videos are from usability laboratory, two different kinds of usability laboratories. These are all N-games games that are being tested. So let's see. Yes.
So now it says view. So please aid.
Och du har fått vara en kraftig samling.
No.
Okay. Let's see if this pauses. Okay, it doesn't pause, but I will explain you after this.
This is difficult. But entertain. I will keep going. Alright. Titta. Sound will be like really.
Och titta.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and then third game. Very good feedback. Especially these moments of frustration, they are very useful for making the game better.
Eli siis mä oletan niin, että tämän koko aluksen elinehto on se, että se menee noiden valotunneleiden läpi tai mitä noiden on sanoo.
Okay, I'll say a few words about the video. So the first one was the game, the one, and that was a situation where we all were in the same room, and actually you could hear the producer helping out a little bit, like you should press 0 to kick or something like that. But then the moderator was asking the test player, like, would you actually have known that if the guy wouldn't have told you that? And she said no. So this is an example of very simple usability problem that is really easy to spot when you have a pair of fresh eyes, but when you have been working on something, of course you know it's the 0 that is the kick. So the tutorial keys, like they were shown, like you need to, for this combo you need to press kick once, for instance, and they were like K, K, P. But in this test session, we noticed that the players, they didn't know what is the K and what is the P, because they had to press like 8 or 0 or something like that. So that was something that was changed after the test sessions, and it was found to be really useful feedback. Then the second video, it was from the Engage game Yamake, which is coming out soon, and there the example was about the player actually giving suggestions, like she would have liked to have this tick tock sound in the behind when she's running out of time to make it more exciting, and she said in the beginning, like, this is difficult, but then at the same time you could clearly see, like, it was good that it was difficult, like she was excited about playing the game. And then the third example was a very early version of the System Rush game, so the graphics or like they were not definitely the final ones, and there the player, we had our more evil moderator moderating the test session, and the core player was probably playing it the 8th time or something, the same level, but the moderator didn't give him any hints how to proceed in the level. But still, the test player, he was providing useful feedback, because what he said was that he thinks that he needs to go through these tunnels to make his ship to survive. Where actually what he needed to do was to go over these speed lines to get more speed for his ship. So the tunnels were just for scoring points. So it was like secondary goal in the game. So that also shows, like, if you are really merciless moderator, you can still take information out of your players and hopefully keep them happy still after a little bit of frustration. But those, I played the newer version of the game, and all those problems have been addressed in the latest one. Okay, let's go forward. Then sometimes when we have wanted some quick feedback from the target group players, but we haven't really had time for more than testing for an afternoon and then analyzing the results really quickly. We have played games in focus groups. So have a group of people, do this similar kind of thing, like you give the game for the players to play, but you are not videotaping them individually. And then you typically, like, you would have your, then you would really need to have the producer there as well, so he can go around and see what the people are doing, but really prepare him well not to help unless there is a technical problem or something that is so clearly already a problem that you can't really get more information out of your players. And this can be done quite early as well, so after all the features are there. But then on the other hand, you can't, like, if there are a lot of missing features, you can't be helping all of the whole group at the same time. So maybe you want your game to be quite finished to do this, or at least like have all the features in place and not so many bugs anymore. And what is needed then? You need the game, lots of phones, because the phones, they tend to crash when you are testing software that is not ready yet. So you might want to have like phones with a fresh version of the game, so you can just swap new phones. You don't need to wait for booting the phones. And the result also here, test report, videotapes. But again, interactive way of doing this, having all the important people in the place is the best way of doing it. What is good about this then? Well, you get more opinions in less time. You can actually easily get like even 20 people in one day if you want to do it. But then it's more difficult to follow, and some people, they can be really quiet in this kind of group situation. If you have someone individually, you can always squeeze something out of them. But then if it's a focus group situation, some people, they might just be really quiet. Okay, then field testing. Field testing means that we give the game for the players, sometimes even the phone as well, but you preferably give the game for the players and they have their own phones that they use for playing the game. And at Nokia I have found that it's quite easy to do this internally because people usually do have the phones and they have the SIM cards, so it's easy to find test players for field testing there. But then it's again like you are not always having the right target group there. So this is done a little bit later, usually in the beta phase. You could do it a little bit earlier, but it's good to have rather robust version of the game because you can't be helping there out like what is missing in the game, or you don't want to be 24/7 technical support for your people well, you could want, but but it's better if it's working already. And actually, quite nice way of doing this is that you do first the laboratory test to find out the sort of children's disease from the game, and then later you do a field testing where you can give it out for more people. And from this one, I actually have a good example. We were testing a simulation game, and first we had 6 people testing the game in the laboratory, and they were all really like loving the game, and this is so great, that it's great humor and everything. And then we gave, after the test session, we gave the game for these 6 people, plus then about 20 more people to play in their own time. And we met these people for interviews after 2 weeks. And then they have found that, yeah, like it's really nice game, but some people already played through all the content in a couple of hours. So then we found like definitely there needs to be more stuff to do, and yeah, that was really good feedback. And also showing that if you have people for a couple of hours, which is definitely the max you can have them in the laboratory, you can't test everything, and you just can get the first time glimpse of the game. Of course, you can invite them repeatedly to your laboratory, but then you really need to spend a lot of time on testing as well. And unfortunately, that's not usually usually you can't do that, because there is just not simply enough time or resources or something. So let's see, summary of what are the good things about the field testing and the not so good things. So the field testing provides a more realistic situation. So when they are having the game at their free time, they can play it when they go to sleep, and they can do all kinds of things that they want to do, and they have more time to play, like I said earlier. The downsides are that gathering data is more difficult. Usually we rely on interviews, so people might tell you what they think you want to hear, because you're not really seeing them struggle with the game. So yeah, they can be a little bit forgiving if the game was if it was easy. If it was difficult in the beginning, and then it turned out eventually to be a lot of fun, so they could be like, yeah, like it's really nice, and forgive all the difficulties that they had in the beginning. So you can't be sure what actually happened, but you can still get some feedback. And then the devices, the devices can be a problem if you are testing something that is meant for a really high-end phone. Then you might not have people who have those phones. A good example actually is if you stop by at the Nokia booth, we have there one small field test going on viral features in games. So we have a little viral game there, and you can get it into your phone and share it with your friends. But I've been there for this morning, and unfortunately many people do not have the N-series phones that the game runs on. So when you're doing field test, it could be difficult to actually find the people with the right devices, or the devices that you want the game to be played on. And if it's an online game, then you might need to provide SIM cards as well, which is trouble as well. Okay, here you can see a little summary of the whole process. So ideas like, actually I didn't talk about focus group discussions at all. And one reason why I didn't do that is that I personally don't find them as this playability as robust playability methods because it's based on just like presenting ideas for people and then gathering feedback. It's very useful for finding out something about the concept, but we haven't been really using it so much in the research side. In the business side, the focus groups are used for marketing purposes and other purposes as well. Expert evaluations, they can start a little bit earlier, and then direct observation you probably want to do after some expert evaluations have been already conducted, and then field testing and playing in focus groups a little bit later. I also must mention that some games are also tested after the launch, so this is very traditional single player experience, this arrow here. So after the launch, if you have an online game, you can definitely gather a lot of feedback as well after the launch. And also if you think of sequels, maybe you want to see what went wrong, what went right, conduct a field test for a ready game. Okay, then summarizing some learnings. So testing as early as possible, that's important. Quick turnaround time, like I mentioned, the development process, especially in the mobile games, it's really short. And if you can deliver your results quick, like you don't spend 2 weeks in your researcher room and then come out with the results, and then you find out that, oh yeah, actually, there is nothing you can do anymore with the game because it's too late. So that's not very useful. Sometimes the testing is as much psychology and communication as it is testing. Like you can create a fancy test report, but then if no one will listen to you, it's not really much use. Usually the best way to fix this is to involve everyone early, get everyone's feedback, like where you should be focusing, get them there in the testing room with you, so they can really participate themselves and see what happens, and it's really useful for them. If you just send it in a test report and say bye-bye, it's not very useful. Also, I can tell a little anecdote when we were just starting our process and figuring out what sort of reports we should be sending. We went to a developer and we had this nice test report form where we had problem, like there was always like problem, severity, and suggestions how to fix the problem. And the project manager, or he was also the lead designer of the project, he said, yeah, like this word problem sounds a little bit bad. Like even if you think it's a problem, it's not necessarily, like that's not always the problem. Like it could be just a side effect of something, or it could be a feature that is misunderstood or something. So what we actually did then was that we changed the word problem to a potential problem. Even if it takes more space in the test report, it's like, you have to be really careful how you say things, because it's quite often it's very important for people who are working on the project that how the communication is done. Okay, recruiting process is highly important. Yes, I could tell many stories about this as well, but having the wrong people in the testing sessions, it's not like, it's waste of time, and it's eating your own credibility as well. Like if you are saying like, I had these 6 people and then there were these 2 people who said this and that, and then they don't actually even represent the target group. It's really bad. And playtesting should be planned early in the project. So it's like if you find out all these great or if you do all these useful findings, but then there is simply not enough time to do anything about it, it's not much use. So if it can be planned early in the project, it's always good. Expert evaluations, I already mentioned, like they are good, but they are hard to sell because the experts, they are not the target group. But of course, if you think it would be like producers from the same team but not too involved in the project, then they would already have this kind of trust relationship that is needed here. And having all the relevant parties is important. Like you can get all the important people for the testing sessions. That's the best. Okay, if you got really excited, I will quickly show some pictures how to set up a playability lab. Well, you could always set up a proper lab, spend a lot of money. You could set up a portable lab, like we've been using quite often. So just have a video camera and little portable camera for your mobile phone, and then people in the other meeting room or outside the room. Maybe you could borrow someone else's lab. Universities and other bodies have laboratories, or then you could even just test without a lab. Do some ad hoc testing, see how people react when you give the game to them, and try to keep your mouth shut if you happen to be the producer or designer yourself. Okay, these are some pictures from our playability lab. This is our Tampere laboratory. So here you can see a chair. The player is sitting there. Not so nice chair where the moderator is sitting. A monitor, so you don't have to pant behind someone's back when he's playing, and then especially like we've been playing with some children, if you would need to be the shadow behind the child's back, then it would not be good. So there is a monitor for the moderator as well. This is one of our older mobile phone cameras. So there is a little camera, and you can get the video stream to the other room. And this is our observation room. So you have these mixing devices there, so you can match two pictures in one. So in the other picture, you probably want to see what happens in the game, and in the other picture, you see the player's face and can read a little bit non-verbal communication in the video as well. This is stuff that we have used for a portable lab, so a small DV device and a lot of cables. This is one of our newer mobile phone cameras, so it's really small. It looks almost like a cable. Then duct tape, of course. You can use it for many things, like you don't want to trip on your cables. But this is also for taping the little camera there. I've actually done this once, and or then you might even want to tape your players if the game is really bad, so they don't go too early. Okay, then ad hoc playtesting. Here is just a picture from one of our developers. They are quite old picture, as you see. There is an old phone model as well, and they are just like making people inside the company to try out the game when it's ready enough, but the colleagues, they are not too aware how the game should be like, or they are not too blind yet with the project yet. So they haven't been working on it for a long time. And there, it is really important to just try to keep your mouth shut, not guiding what the players should be doing, especially if it's your own game. It's so easy to give some little tips how to actually do things. Then a couple of practical notes about testing, so involving everyone. This is an important one. Like remember, it's a service. Like you are just providing a service. Service there, you are not, like if you are doing the testing, you are not telling anyone what they should be doing. You are just giving feedback and trying to help them see and them figure out how to, like how they could make the user experience in the game better. And also when you feel very sure yourself, like yes, there is a problem, remember that, okay, it's potentially a problem. It could be a side effect of some feature that actually should be there in the game, but it's just not working properly for some reason. And the designer and producer of the game, they are the ones who hold the vision how the game should be, and the target group players are your gold mine, and they should be always rewarded as well. We use movie tickets, we have found it very effective. Everyone likes movies. And then when interacting with the players, this is also sort of summary here, so do not help them. Very typical usability testing advice as well. Encourage them to think aloud, so even if it feels a little bit stupid to explain like what you are thinking at the moment, but it's otherwise you don't know what they are thinking. Ask questions, listen, don't judge them, even if they would seem to be acting stupidly. It might be your game, not the player, at least sometimes. And make notes, because otherwise you will forget. And I've been observing myself a lot of tests, and I think that making notes is very important, because otherwise you will end up watching these hours and hours of playtesting videos again, and that is quite frustrating work when you have seen the situations already once. So notes are very important. Okay, here is, let's go. Yes, here is. I'll explain first what this is all about. So here are two of our producers just giving feedback about the playtesting work that we have been doing. So just to show you what they were thinking as an end note.
Yeah, I think internal playtesting is a great thing. Obviously, there are some challenges, but if you time it right, I think it can be a really great project. For example, in our project, the development team was participating in the playtesting session, and I think that was really eye-opening for them.
Yeah, when you come to these kind of tests, you need to prepare yourself in a way that like don't take the comments personal, or when the tester or whoever gave you the comment is leaving, you don't go out and wake him behind the corner and kick him in the ass. Like, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
The development cycle is sort of short, so you don't have the good enough build to test too early, and when you do, it's already quite late in the project, so whatever results you may get, it's really hard to get all those things that you find out to get improved in the game. So as early as possible, but of course the game experience that you test need to be good enough. So it's a challenge, but definitely before half would be.
Yeah, there's lots of information. You have to be sure that you ask the right questions and so on. And maybe sometimes from production point of view, you have to do some special effort to make a specific build or finish a feature earlier than you normally would do.
It's really easy to, whoever is following or reading the report, to get the confirmation from out of those 6 people if somebody says it, because you don't get like 7,000 out of 10,000 said that this part of the game is crap. But at the same time, that's really good that there's only 6 people. You get good enough results.
Try playtesting.
Yeah, play Yamake. It's being playtested.
All right. Yeah. So these two producers have been involved in, or many of their games have been playtested.
We get 10 euros now.
Oops. Okay, but that was basically all that I wanted to say today. So if you have questions, I think we could have time for a couple of quick quick ones. Okay?
You seem to favor qualitative methods. Is there a reason why you don't use any quantitative, like error matrices or?
Yeah, well, in field testing we could actually, and we have had like groups of 30 people, but I don't say that's like really quantitative amount of people, but you could already see some trends going on there. But one reason why we want to do it is because if you have a very little amount of time, it's you can understand. This is my personal view, but I think you can understand a lot better what are the issues in the game if you can really see what the people are doing there, instead of then just like having 600 people and then them filling in forms, and then you could compare and combine the results to understand some relations, but still you would miss the gameplay issues there. Like what did they actually do in the game, and where did they struggle, and I know Microsoft Game Research they are very big on these quantitative methods, and I think they are doing a great job. But then on the other hand, if you have a limited amount of resources to do this, I would go definitely for the qualitative methods.
How expensive is this process? Just doing a full-blown playtesting for one of those titles, what's the total cost? Just roughly.
Okay, so the question was that what is the total cost for doing something like this? Well, I can tell you easily how time intensive it is. So I would say for testing, conducting a direct observation test for one game would probably take about 7 to 9 days, like working days for people. Like in the preparation part, it could be enough to have just one person. But then when you are running the test, you really benefit of having two people there full time. And then for the analysis, you might survive with one person, but it's good to get opinions from elsewhere. So about 1 week for one test, including the weekend, of course. It's working time for some people who try to deliver work results fast. So something like that. Any other questions or? No. If not, then I thank you for your attention, and also if you have an N-series phone, please drop by at the Nokia booth and ask the guys over there for this viral game test version, so you can get some idea of our field testing activities as well. It's not a commercial game, it's more for research purposes, but it's a fun little puzzle game. So, thank you very much.